Hi, welcome to the Augmentation of Man with Kent and Renee Miller. And we're back after a little hiatus. Kent's had some back problems, so he may be grimacing while we speak. We're also surrogate parenting for a mockingbird baby that fell out of the nest. So you might hear the little one squawking during this broadcast.
It's not ready to fly yet. It doesn't quite develop to the point of flight.
Today we're going to be talking about unity, and it's going to be the first in about a series of three. We have a lot to talk about, and so
unity is very important right now because of what's going on. You could call them protests with some rioting involved, and it's very evident that unity is so important right now. We were sitting outside talking and watching ants work together to accomplish a task. But the thing was, they weren't fighting, they were working together to accomplish a specific task. And we said, wouldn't it be interesting what the humans could accomplish if they all worked together rather than fighting each other all the time?
So we talk about being one and oneness, and we talk about unity, but I'm not so sure that we have really understood what that means. It's easy to say, but can we really grasp it mentally? And so we're going to try and explain this a little further as it has been explained to us by our spiritual guides, the ancients.
Yeah, you hear many different venues. You hear the word unity. We are a unified group. We are unity, but they're only unity within our own little group. Outside of that, they reflect what their true value is, and it's not unity. So we're going to try to explain the word, what unity means, according to the ancients that gave me in meditation.
And more the definition of in a universal sense.
Yes.
So
because we're not the only
beings. And I think most people have come to accept that. We are in the near future going to have a reconnection with these other entities from outside the earth, but we have to work to be unified first. And we're going to give you a little background on this. We're such a warring and people
entity,
that they're not going to put themselves in peril trying to communicate with us. So we have to change our behavior.
They are watching us closely.
Yes. So just to back up a little bit and give everyone a little background on this, we are at the end of one cycle and the beginning of another.
And had we come to this point, we came to this point by confirming what I had gotten in meditation through the native people, the Hopi.
Yes, if you want to know about cycles and what happens at the end of cycles, we highly recommend that you do some research regarding the Hopi oral traditions of cycles and end of cycles. So we are at the end of the fourth world cycle, and we are going to be beginning the fifth when the electromagnetic field poles reverse. And so in our ancient books, a lot of them talk about the end of time or the end time. And some people have come to interpret that like it's the end of the world, but it is the end of a cycle. And each time we are starting a new learning phase at a higher level, and a significant change has to take place. Also, there's a lot of catastrophic events that occur as a result of the earth having to rebalance herself at this time.
So we're going to start off by, we're going to call this becoming one. Is a design going towards becoming one. And like I said, at the end of a cycle, end of time as we know the word time, as we use the word time, And it's a new adjustment in time, like the Mayan calendar. They adjusted time to signify where we were at that particular
where we
point,
are in
or
the
where we're
within the
going,
cycle. And we're at the end of one
Yeah,
cycle,
so-
and there's a reset that's happening,
Right, so-
where we're beginning a new cycle.
Right, so the astrological sensors are in place for this now. If astrology is an important point.
Well, there's these
in
structures
things, in events.
within the atmosphere that measure our learning process and our progress.
Yeah, if you watch TED or on the YouTube or different science channels, you'll know what we talk about when we talk about the neural net. It's like a string or like a spider web. And neural net attributes significantly to a higher level of understanding, which we're aiming towards. Some events are being coordinated outside of humanity itself. They are trying to move us in the correct direction of what they think humanity should go. And it's taking a lot of effort.
There's a lot of work that is happening amongst these beings that are trying to push humanity forward,
So-
both physical and non-physical beings. We cannot imagine the amount of work and planning that has taken place to push humanity forward. And so
humanity keeps resisting.
Yes.
The astrological signs have been around since our recorded history.
mhm. Now remember, astrological alignments have a vibrational influence on passing energy, and that determines events that are playing out here on Earth. So that's how astrology plays into it. These astrological sensors are actually physical sensors within the atmosphere around livable planets, and they measure the amount of learning gained before and after major global events. And then they direct the energy pathways toward further learning. Either, you've learned that event and you're moving on to the next one, or you need more learning in the current event. And so it determines the energy pathway and future events.
Yeah.
Now, the neural net carries the light that we hear about in ancient
Which
texts,
is plasmic.
which is a non-visible light, but it carries intelligent energy. And it would be much like your fiber optic cables that carry that energy, that the communication energy that supplies your TV, your internet service, and that sort of thing, phone service. It's almost exactly the same, only the neural net exists within the atmosphere and you can't really see it except for with special lens.
Okay, well, we have been given 5 senses to collect information
In our environment.
In our environment, and dimensional. And this is a 3-dimensional environment that we live in. We've been given 5 senses to collect that information, but there are more senses that we don't use. That animals still contain these other senses and can pick up various things that happen within our environment. So, are these senses that humans have, are they controlled by humans, or are they controlled by other beings from a second realm?
So part of this is that our learning experience is being controlled to a point where it enables us to learn the basics before we move on and progress to higher levels without sufficient understanding of the lower levels. So it slows us down. And our senses have been controlled by other entities in what they call this second realm. And we're coming to a period of time where we're finishing this 4th world learning, and we are going to be coming to completion of some of these major lessons. Not everybody, but there's a good share of people who are coming to completion. They are the ones that are going to be carrying the torch forward into the next fifth world cycle. And in about 3 years, we are going to see that a good share of the people have this precognition, and they have certain abilities that through a new set of senses that are going to be given to us that we can learn from. And so we can look forward to these new abilities coming to us in the next few years.
So becoming one, what is the difficulty in understanding the concept of becoming one? Oneness exists in most of the universe that we know of, where entities work together for a common goal. There may be some group of entities that don't work with everyone else. I don't know, but there's possibility. And the goal of the universe is consciousness, the consciousness of all living entities. So network of entities solely for the good of all creators, all creations, is through the sharing of information, but sharing of information to help each other, not to knock each other down.
So what the oneness encompasses is this network of entities that communicate on a network called the neuronet, and for the higher entities, it's a higher network called Source, and Source has an intelligence that's beyond what we humans are able to understand. So we're going to be using the neuronet, and other entities also use this neuronet. Remember, it's kind of like fiber optics. We're communicating on it. This is how telepathic communication occurs between communicating entities.
Now, communication is not like us talking to you, we're talking to each other. This is communication of the mind.
And it is specifically used for the sharing of information in the promotion of universal consciousness. It's intelligence, it's wisdom, and it will be technology too.
Yeah. So to become one with everything that's out there, everything that does look like us and everything that does not look like us. To become one in the universal consciousness, working together for understanding and knowledge.
So it is a mutual respect of all of creation. And this is where this comes into in this conversation today, where there isn't a mutual respect for humanity, for humans with other humans. And so we had to ask, what was the reason why there's so many different races here on Earth? And the answer was, you cannot accept someone who is more different than yourselves until you have learned to accept yourselves. Meaning, we have to learn how to accept someone who's different from us. Maybe it's the skin color, maybe it's their belief system. We have to learn how to accept those people before we can accept others who are even more different than us. And humans have been doing a very poor job at accepting each other. And so a lot of this culmination of events today is a result of our not coming to acceptance of each other.
That's true. So the warring with each other, not in a large context, but also in a small context, such as the rioting and the things that have been going on lately, that's warring with self. And this warring must stop. We have to open our minds to to accept more comprehensive truth. We have to do our own research, in other words, find out what the truth is. All consciousness has been controlled here. There are entities that tend to control the consciousness, and people call it negative, okay? Because they have no other word to put in front of it. We don't have the truth anymore. The truth becomes fiction, and the fiction becomes truth.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that contribute to our warring, and our warning is the first step is peace, is having truth. Once you find truth, then you can delete and push aside those things that you know are not truth and tell those people, go away, go. I'm not going to be involved in what you're going to be involved. That's not the truth. There are things that see them do. They try to control our minds, the entities running around, influencing our thoughts, influencing our emotions, which is a big control of what we think.
And this is both physical, like humans doing
humans
this,
controlling
but
emotion.
we also have other entities here at this moment in time trying to prevent the transformation from happening, which is this movement upward to a new higher vibration and in a higher learning field. And so they're trying to block that. So people are being manipulated through their thought process by these other unforeseen beings too.
Yeah. So those that are trying to control you, saying, "Oh, we're going to have a peaceful protest," which we understand and agree with, a certain event that happened, and we're going to protest peacefully. And then there are those that say, "Well, we're going to bomb, and we're going to loot, we're going to put on fire different things because that's what makes you feel good." And you get caught up in their emotion, and you lose your own peace of mind of why you were there to begin with.
And so we have to really, at this point in time, work hard to create the peace and to come to an understanding of each other by listening to each other and stop this shutdown of free speech. The only way we can accomplish this is through open dialogue, where we come to understand one another, and then we can have respect for each other.
So I would like to say you need to shield yourself from the onslaught of unbalanced humanity, the humanity around you that feeds on emotion, which is unbalanced.
And it's unbalanced because they don't have the truth, right?
And so by not having the truth, you're put in a stream of confusion of what is the truth, and it causes more difficulties in your own thought. So
and so now what we see is this culmination of a lack of understanding and a lack of truth in our society, and it's bringing us to this point where it was predicted that we were going to have this uprising. And this uprising is not about Trump. This uprising is because it's happening all over the world. That's why it's not about Trump. We are uprising against each other because we have lost our connection and our unity with each other and our understanding of each other.
Yeah, we don't communicate with each other anymore. We look at that person and we put a sign upon them saying, "Oh, this is a bad person." We don't even know who that person is or what they're going through at that particular time. So we tend to manipulate our own selves into a negative sphere. Now,
and we can be manipulated by others too.
And things that happened just recently that to Floyd, more is going to come out, and we'll learn more. Remember, truth is only what you think you know right now. And as more information comes about anything, the more truth comes out. Now, we send our condolences to the Floyd family. We understand
It was
all
an
life,
unjust.
all
It was
lives,
unjust.
yeah, all lives, because communication is so important in this humanity. All lives are important.
And even if we disagree with one another, it doesn't justify doing horrific acts
No, it
to each
doesn't.
other. And so we have to bring peace, we have to bring unity. And in order to do that, we need to be able to have the open dialogue, to be able to talk to each other with each one's truth, and to listen and to show respect for one another.
So we want to thank you for listening. Our next video will be on coronavirus and how it's genetically manipulated and coming to change our own behavior.
But it also relates to this unification. So the next couple of videos are also going to expand on what we've been talking about today.
To be one.
And I do want to call to attention our second book in the Augmentation of Man series. That is the Acquiescence of Humanity. A lot of what is happening today was predicted, and that is in chapter 8, the last chapter of this book. We have expanded on the interpretations as the language is cumbersome, but we have done a lot of work to help the reader and the spiritual student to understand the messages that come from the ancients and other spiritual professors. So we encourage you to check that out. It is on sale for a short time longer. We keep prolonging this sale for $9.88 on Amazon.
On this. We're trying to just get the information out to those that really want to know.
Yeah. So we thank you for joining us today. And as always, peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. Have a good day.